Hi there, Phoenix here. We're going to go through a Forest Elf starting pitching run using a BGM and perfume, as well as some of the other regular development items to extend week 7 to four turns. Forest Elves is a pretty fun scenario, and we're going to be using the current top starting pitching deck. So week 1, we are going to focus, because this is an int heavy deck, we're going to try to level up the int facility by selecting int trainings for as often as possible, at least for the first week. And so I'm not even caring what has personal training or not. I'm just going to hammer the int facility in the hopes of leveling it up so that when we do get a big training on it in the future, that we can boost with a relic. And you'll see what I mean by that if this scenario is new to you. We can boost it with a relic and get bigger bonuses and bigger training values. So I'm just going through the motions here, training and getting events with the initial events with the trainers. And as you can see, my cores are super boosted, so there are some bonuses that come with that. And because we're running with a perfume, sometimes we end up with special trainings week 1, week 2, and it's pretty nice. The beauty or the need, the necessity for cores for actually any scenario, especially super boosting them, is pretty clear because it helps restore stamina, manage their stamina. It helps gives us of course stat boosts, skill discounts, which are my favorite, and an affinity boost because we do have support skills in this deck with the 3 starters, which is Rowena, Belita, and Isis. So we want to get those as soon as possible. I'm going to go ahead and try to get 3 hard missions, and that I do. I'm going to go ahead and skip the game. And this is where I'm leaning heavily on my cores to make up for any deficits in G points and skill points. And also relying on the giant trainings also to make up deficits in the skill points and G points as well. So we get a superb week 1. You can see that we've got some pretty good results in our stats. And we're entering week 2. And here is where I'm going to quickly scan and see where my relics are and what they are. So I'm just going to see, oh, Enlightenment, Random, Goodwill, Dark Moon, which is good. So that's not bad. So we're going to go ahead and just train with the special trainings and the personal trainings to try to get the that forest power or whatever mana up. You can see that our int trainings are pretty high when there's 2 int trainers that are special. It's around just a little over 200. Series is great, and this is just RNG, but when we get her, she does restore our stamina the first time we meet her. And of course, the cores, everyone's cores are different, but you can see that I have quite a bit of G points there are in my cores. So we're going to go through the motions and just try to accumulate rapport with the particularly the starting trainers, trying to get a few stats, and trying to chase after the nature power and getting that up. Typically in week 2, I'd like to see my nature power around 450 or and above. If it's less than that, then I'm going to have to make up for it in future weeks. And so I'm just prioritizing picking, if I can't pick a Forest Elves trainer for an event, then I'll prioritize the position, which is in this case starter. So I went and picked the Rowena event. And we end up with another superb, barely, but this starter deck is G point constrained. And what I mean by that, there isn't a G point trainer, but we do have to buy at least 3 of the 4 UR gear, as well as pay for the Lector event unless we fluke and get a free Lector. There are some combo events that help restore stamina, and that's great, except that was a waste there. In start of week 3, you can pick whatever you want. It ends up just boosting one stat very minorly. And the 3 pieces of equipment that I want to pick up here are the glove, uh, Hathor's glove, Isis's ball, and Rowena's um, shoes. Because this is such an int heavy deck, I don't need Ceres' helmets. And here with Belita, I always pick the second option when resources are found because she boosts uh, stamina. And we got a 4-stack here, but it's not a real 4-stack. It's really 3 int trainers plus Rowena. I'm going to take a look and see. I just don't have enough nature power to get the relic I need. So I'm going to try and make a play and see if I can get a relic, if a random relic will give me Dark Moon or Blessing of the World Tree, something. I'm going to make a play. Doesn't always work out. In this case, it did work out. We ended up with a World Tree. So let's go ahead and use that. And we're going to boost it. And we're going to end up with, unfortunately, it's not fantastic, but 878 is okay. Typically, we're trying to look for 1,000 or above. But I'm going to favor, there's a trainer choice, I'm always going to favor the Forest Elves trainer, even if the other training event is a plus event. Because we're trying to get that nature power. We need to clear out a minimum of 30 of those forest tiles in the map. And I'm so sorry if this is going really quickly, uh, but this is a typical speed run for me, which is about, 20, 30 minutes, I think, typically, to go through and create a picture if I'm skipping games. And so you can see that, the int trainings are 257 when there are 2 int trainers on there, which is great. So it's nice to get those big trainings of like 1,000 or so, but if you can get 3 or 4 of those 250, 300 int trainings a week, those do add up as well. And we want to average around 1,000 ints per week if possible, because in the end, our end goal is to get above 8,000 int. Plus, of course, to maintain balance, we're going to be focusing on dex as our primary substat that we want to build up. But you can see we've done fairly well. It's 4,300 int, and we are now just entering week 4. Typically with this deck, I'm trying to aim for around 6,000, 6,100-ish int by the end of week 5 to be on track. Because of course then in week 6 and 7 we can just average the 1,000 plus int per week, and then we can count on the all-rounder title to give us the extra 450 int. The all-rounder title requires 20 nibs of breaking balls, so not fastball, but breaking ball skills. So you see we got a skill discount. The trainers for this deck are excellent. We intend to end up getting quite a few discounts, not only from personal training, but from the events as well. And the combo events help too. So you can see we're gathering nature power. When there is nothing on fire, nothing special, I go ahead and prioritize personal training. When there is something that's special training, if it's only one trainer on there, I prioritize the personal training. And so with series, this listen to nature event, I typically pick the first or last option. The first option would be boosting the mental by 100 plus points, or dex if you pick the bottom one. The middle choice is strength. So in this case, both events are terrible. They're just going to give you 30 each. So I just picked Hathor. And then we're ready to take a look and get a look at the lay of the land. And because we have 4 Forest Elves trainers, I decided to pick from that decision tree the extra dex instead of the extra nature power. If you're running a with only 3 Forest Elves trainers, then I would recommend that you pick the 200, the plus 200 nature power choice. So far this run's going fairly well. We're getting superbs every game, which is not a given, even if you have really high stats. So we've been lucky so far. Now we're entering the critical week, week 5 for rapport. So after this combo event, which gives us a bit of a boost. Now in this particular run, I'm going to show you the strategy that not everyone agrees with, but I tend to favor chasing after the rapport that I want, which is in this case Rowena, which is a costumed trainer. So her super skill and her equipment are boosted. And so in this case, I'm chasing the super skill. So if I don't get Rowena here, I'm going to go ahead and deny the rapport. I tend to also favor, and other people may disagree, I tend to favor going for uh, a starter because this is a starting pitcher. But in this case, even though it's series and she's a Forest Elves trainer, I'm going to deny the rapport. And wow, a 3-stack. Well, yeah, my stats would have been higher if I accepted the rapport. So I'm trading off here by not accepting the rapport and hoping that the super skill bonus and passive effects will be a bigger boost to my rating. So I'm trying to find, yep, the Goodwill of the Dark Moon. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And now I'm going to try to offset it and try to find the mood offset where it boosts my mood, the one decision tree item, but I can't find it. Am I going to go across and try to get the mental to offset, the mental squares to offset yes, to offset the potential imbalance of having high int. So I'm going to go ahead, get the friend support. My mood is full, which is awesome. I'm going to go for it, get 1148 int off of this. And so in this turn, I am going to meet my goal of around 6,000 int, or 6,100 int at the end of the week. Ditto is not a bad choice, but again, reliever, I want a starter, and more importantly, I want Rowena. But if I will settle for Isis and Belita if I have to. So it's high risk because if you turn on rapport enough, you might not end up with any super skill, and as well as depressing. Without the rapport bonus, I'm not getting as high trading values as I would have if I had an active rapport. So here I'm prioritizing Dex, even though int is 100. For balance sake, 73 for Dex is a decent training. And so I picked the Isis event because it restores stamina here. And I'm just checking the equipment before I take off because I almost forgot to. I'm going to go ahead, still skipping games here, which helps the runs go by a little quicker. This is dependent on having cores that will support you though, and having high enough stats that your pitcher on autopilot should do well most of the time. Anyway, so I got 62 over 6,200 int that as of the end of week 5, so we're on track for hopefully something around 8,500, 8,600 int at the end of this run. Maybe higher if we get some meme trainings. Oh, and we got Rowena's shoes. Costume shoes. Alright. No real good training, unfortunately, but we're going to go chase after the personal training, which happens to be on special here. And we have Belita, and I say no. And this is really risky because this is week 6. So a lot of people will say this is not a smart choice or a wise choice, and they're probably right. But I'm going all or nothing. I'm committed to trying to get Rowena, and I luck out. So I go ahead and accept her rapport, and this basically saves the run. So you can see with the rapport bonus, instead of 257, it's 283 for 2 int trainers on that are for special training. So you can see there's a slight bonus. And the other reason I like Rowena is that her second event does restore stamina. So, yep, I'm just going to keep on hammering int and trying to build it up. And so by the end of this week, I should be around 7,000-ish int, which is not great. Usually I like to be a little higher, but it's all down to week 7 to see if I can bring this up to 8,000 int. Take a look at the lay of the land. Try to get those squares with the plus 50 int or plus 50 mental and the plus 30 skill points. You should always prioritize getting those tiles cleared out, as well as, of course, chasing the 3 little relics, special relics, ancient relics that you need to find, which I haven't found yet. So that's a bit of concern. I do have plenty of nature power, uh, and to get a dark moon, that's nice to have. Hopefully that'll boost the training later on. I'm just trying to clear out those plus 50/30 skill point squares, and I'm searching for relics. I'm leaving ancient relics. I'm leaving the regular relic squares alone for now, as I'm trying to clear things out. I might have to burn some relics later on. And here I pick the mental because, again, this is an int heavy deck, so we're trying to balance. All right. So I'm just mapping out and seeing where I have to go next in week 7, what relics are left. I'm in a good spot because by the end of week 6, I do want to have, if not 25 squares cleared out, the ability to clear out 25 squares, have enough nature power to clear out 25 squares if I wanted to. So in week 7, I want to get hopefully 600 or 700 nature power. And I'm going to prioritize the personal training unless there's a gigantic int training or gigantic dex training for me to get. So far we've been getting superbs. And now we're finally entering week 7. Yep, 7,300 int. And our int facility finally leveled up to level 3, which would have helped earlier, but let's see what we can get. Alright, 271 is not great, but let's go for it. Because nothing else, the personal training is not unspecial, and I'm gambling, quite frankly, that we can get enough nature power. I love Adventurer Virtue. This event, you just pick Drive, and you end up with stamina, G points, and a nice discount. Okay, we're going to have to boost this. Or not. No. Let's go ahead and just take it as is, but I'm going to boost the training. I'm gambling. I'm going to pick the Research Club to get a discount. But I'm gambling here that we're going to get a better training to boost, which we may not, actually. That was probably a poor move. And we'll pick Wid's Hitting History, which gives us some extra nature power. And yeah, that's too bad. I'm going to go ahead and boost this training with whatever I have left. And so that was a tactical error. And I could have also used a Dark Moon on that, so that's the problem when you rush. But we're going to go ahead, finish this off. Now I have some relics. I'm going to go ahead and find out where my missing relics are. There's one. And there's two. I'm going to track and use the Dark Moon here. And there's 3. And so instead of using my relics to boost or help me, I had to use them to find the ancient relics and where they were. And barely eke this one out. So, um, had I used the Dark Moon, I might not have found where these ancient relics were. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick one more square, hopefully either a mental, or if there's any plus 50 squares left, I'll pick those. I'll pick a mental. And take a look at their stats. Yeesh. Int is low, barely over 8,000. But go ahead and let's pick Lecter and see what he gives us. Fingers crossed. And we luck out with max perfect body. Great. Alright. We'll go ahead and auto this. And we're probably going to... Let's take a look and see if we can learn... Well, what our skills look like. Maybe maximize our chances of a superb this last game. And so I just go ahead and max out the items that already have 95% discounts. In this case, only 2 skills. And let's just go and see what we end up with after this. So we barely eked this one out, relying on using the remaining relics to find the ancient relics location and having, quite frankly, mediocre int. Typically, yeah, I would be looking for something around 9k or higher, but here we're going to end up with what we'll see, 8,800 I think at the end. But we're going to go ahead and use up our G points with potential educer. Then let's go ahead and max out our skills. And thanks to the BGM and this deck, and of course our um, fairly large training events, we're going to be able to max out our skills and get the max 20 skills learned with just 144 skill points left over. So 105 skill rating here. We're just going to click complete and see what we end up with. And it's going to be, yep, with all rounder, get another 450 int. We'll see if we're balanced still. We probably are because int is pretty low. And we end up with almost a triple R2 starting picture here by a sliver. Yeah, so 8,800 int. Yeah, if it was a little higher, we would have been there. But again, you can see that this is a pretty decent starting picture. And hopefully, sorry I did not record audio in the stream of the game, which I should have, but I did not realize that setting was turned off. But there's your basic speed run in Forest Elves. Thanks for joining me. Take care.